Hi everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome back to Everyday Consent. We're here to do another consent chat, and this is my friend Allison. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison and I'm a school friend of Sarah's.
So what does consent mean to you?
I really like to feel safe in my sexual exploits, and so consent is like a really good way for my partner to let me know that they value me feeling safe and what I want, and like having a conversation about like what's going on, what's about to happen, making sure that both of us are like happy and into whatever's happening.
Do you have any creative ways that you figured out to give or ask for consent?
Creative's a strong word.
Or useful.
Yeah, I'm a fan of like the make like gentle advances and then make like an inquisitive noise, and then like the other person will hopefully respond like,
I like that.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty good.
It's also like it doesn't need words, which is good, because like sometimes words are hard.
Yeah, words can be hard. That's why we have so many videos about using your words, because they're hard.
They're hard.
Cool. Have you ever been asked for consent in a way that you thought was particularly sexy?
Occasionally, like just straight out, I would like to do X, Y, and Z to you. Is that okay? That can be very like spot on.
Yeah, like having it described to you beforehand.
Yes, exactly. Now then you know. It makes a lot of like good anticipation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it builds it up.
Yeah, it builds up
more tension. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Are you a part of any communities that have given you a unique relationship to consent?
Sure. I socially dance. I like to swing dance. And a lot of people, swing dancing is a lot of like physical contact, and so it's a lot of like touching strangers, which can be a little bit weird at first. Like I was a little like at first, but like it's definitely. I think people are getting really good at like, making sure that they keep an appropriate distance and asking, oh, do you want to dance, instead of just like, come here, like.
No, if I wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's a little bit of like problematic attitude in that, like, oh, like it's like mean to say no, you don't want to dance with someone. But I think people are like working on that, like, and making it okay, like, no, I don't want to dance with you because I'm sitting this one out, or no, I don't want to dance with you because you creep me out, which is a thing that happens. But yeah, so.
Okay, cool. Have you found that there are different ways that consent works for you in different kinds of relationships?
Yeah, I think I have some friendships with people that are very huggy naturally, so like, I'll go up to them and I'll just like hug them, or just like, slide an arm around their waist, and we just have like a pre-established norm that that's okay to do, and like it's definitely okay, like, oh no, it's too hot outside, like don't touch me, or like I'm not feeling it today, but like there are definitely people with whom I have a pre-established relationship of like, oh yeah, no, it's fine to touch me like that, and then some of my friends are not very huggy people, and so, we can just like hang out without touching, and then if it's like a particularly exciting thing, oh, can I give you a hug, is the way to go.
Cool, and so how did those different types of relationships, how did that dynamic start?
So when you meet people, they often, you can often get a sense for how much of a touchy person they are. So some people, like, the first time you meet them, they're like, oh, it's so nice to meet you, and then they hug you. And so, like, like, for me, as I get to know a person better, like if I'm like, oh, can I give you a hug? And then, like, they're like, yes! And they're, like, super excited about it all the time, like, I might tend to ask a little bit less often. It's definitely something that you should keep an eye on the reaction, you know what I mean? Like, so if you, like, go for a hug for someone and they just kind of go, like, that personally I would, like, take that into consideration, like, for next time. I'd be like, oh, maybe this person doesn't like hugs, or like,
isn't feeling it
today, or like maybe I should ask next time instead of like assuming that I have that relationship with that person.
Yeah. So sort of in that vein, has there been any relationships where there was sort of an established dynamic of just like, oh, this person is very huggy and it's fine, and then that changed at some point, or like you had to like rediscuss it or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes when people like get into new like romantic relationships, they might feel uncomfortable like being as touchy with people outside of that relationship as they were previously.
Okay.
So like definitely like friends who like were like, oh, like hug, or like, sitting on a couch together, just like lean on each other. That can change, like when they're like, if they're in a like monogamous relationship with someone, they're like, oh, like that's, you know, not something that I think my romantic partner would be okay with, or I would be okay with.
What messages do you feel that you received about consent growing up?
One of the things that I am weirded out by the most is the expectation that, like, I think this is maybe a byproduct of, like, the older generation, but, like, of, like, being touched by my older male relatives, like, not in, like, in a sexual way, but, like, you know, when they see you, they're like, oh, like, how's it going to you? And they hug you and they kiss you on the cheek, and that's, like, very different, at least in my experience, from how our generation, like, I don't think our generation kisses each other, like, as, like, oh, how's it going? But, like, you know, when my grandmother sees my great uncle, like, you know, they kiss each other on the cheek. And that's, I think growing up, I felt like that was, like, expected of me, even though I was kind of uncomfortable with it, and I didn't really feel comfortable speaking out about it, and I still don't really, because, you know, they're my family, and, like, I love them, and like, that could be taken as a sign that, like, oh, like suddenly she doesn't want to be, like hugged hello, which is a little uncomfortable.
I've experienced a fair bit of that myself. Do you think it is harder to talk to family versus friends about things like physical touching?
Yeah, I think because family, you're stuck with them, you know what I mean? Friends can be very supportive and, like, you know, like, a very important part of your life and stuff, but, like, I feel like family, there's just kind of family feels like they can ask more of you.
Interesting. Okay.
Whereas friendships, like, even if you're really close to someone, I feel like there's still, like, some boundaries that family members don't necessarily think may exist for them.
What was one of your favorite moments of consent in your life that you've experienced?
So I had just gone on a date with someone, and missed the train home.
Oh no.
And so, like, he had graciously offered me a couch to sleep on, and I was like, couch is alright, and he was like, or you could, you know, we could cuddle and that'd be fine. And it was very, very good. It was, like, nice platonic cuddling, just, like, you know, some head pets and stuff, and like, you know, it was, like, very clear that there was no pressure, and then, like, he, like, very politely asked, oh, may I kiss you? And that was just very, like, nice, explicit, like, very sweet.
Just, like, cute.
It was very cute. It was very cute, yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was very cute. So it was just, like, very, like, it was just very, like, comforting, like, oh, like, I would like to kiss you, is that okay?
Oh.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Yes.
Okay. Cool, awesome.
Yeah.
What are some questions that you think you would like me to ask, or some things that you were hoping to talk about that maybe we didn't lead to today?
Sure. I think it's important to consider if you're, like, starting new things with a person, or, like, you know, like, moving beyond what you've done before. I think it's important to know as much of that person's backstory as they're willing to share with you, because sometimes people, like, have had experiences in the past that have been very negative, or you could accidentally do something that's very triggering and bring back a lot of really terrible associations.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
And I think, like, trying to be, like, actively attentive to those needs is, like, a very important thing as, like, a partner. Like I mentioned earlier, like, I really think, like, consent is about, like, making a safe space to, like, explore sexuality together and, like, have fun together and whatever. And, like, it's hard to make a safe space if you aren't actively, like, trying to make sure that you know all the things that could really upset someone.
That makes a lot of sense, right? Because you don't, you know, we're all different people.
Exactly.
We don't have the same experiences.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Allison, so much for joining today. That was really fun. If you have any follow-up questions for Allison, you can leave them in the comments or send them to me, and I'll pass them along to her. If you liked this and want to see more consent chats, give us a like on this video, and you can also subscribe to see more from me. Thank you guys. Happy consenting, and I'll see you next week.